Hello and welcome. Today we've got Michael Jaco. We're going to be discussing latest updates with what's been happening with, vaccines and election audits, etc., etc. Just before we begin, you can subscribe to my Telegram channel and to nicholasvenyamin.com, where you can receive my free newsletters. And also, I will leave Michael Jaco's links below in the description so you can follow him also. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Michael, thank you for joining me. And how are you, sir?
Oh, fabulous. Thanks for having me again, Nick. It's wonderful coming on your show. I get a great response from your audience, and I truly love them all.
Likewise, I have so many great responses from you, and people really do love you. You come across very genuine, very humble, and it shows. And I thank you very much. You know, it's been very interesting because we've seen, and heard that there are audits happening in different states, but the mainstream media is not covering it. And I wanted to ask you, what kind of information do we have at hand that the viewers really want to know with what's going on with the audits?
Yeah, definitely the audits are probably going to happen in every single state and every single county, because they have found that the Dominion machines and the software that they used is completely corrupted. Turning Republican votes over to Democrat votes. That's been in lots of states now have found that. And it's before they were like, okay, we're going to do an audit, but it was just an audit of the votes that were already there. If you give the people that committed a crime the ability to do, the checks, of course, they're going to continue to come up with the same thing. But now they're doing a very excellent digital type of audit. They're looking at the ballots. So ballots were coming in. Of course, we knew that the mail-in ballots, because Trump told us they would be corrupting the system. So long before they did. So ballots were coming in, mail-in ballots were coming in with no folds. So those mail-in ballots were supposed to be folded and put in the mail and sent out. They were coming into a lot of these places unfolded. And they had, it looks like computer generated or not computer, but printer generated marks. So they're finding, instead of a pen, they're finding ink from a computer that's on the marks where they're supposed to be, someone, checks the box or colors in the box or whatever. That's just one of many things they're finding out. They're also finding out that when they look at someone that has voted, and they go to that person's address that's on the envelope or whatever, there's no one. And not that there's no one at the address, but there is no building at a lot of these addresses. It's like a vacant lot. And then if they check and make sure the person is living in that address, that person is not even there. So they're finding out that. So there's a big percentage of that. They accept like a small, micro percentage of, anomalies like that. There's massive percentages, like in the 17.5% range. People that are dead that have voted. They're finding all of these through the system, and not just in one county, but county after county, state after state. It's going to be a massive reveal going forward.
So I'm assuming that obviously Trump knows what's going on with the recount and the audits, but he's not really saying much. You see him in his interview, and the interviewer says to him, "Are you going to be running for 2024? People want to know." And he's like, if you look at the polls now, I think I can take back, we can take back the House, and something needs to be done before 2022. And but he's not saying anything about the audits. So, if I was that interviewer, I would be asking Donald Trump, what, in order for something to be happen before 2022, could you give us a little bit about more of what that process needs to be about? What that process looks like, So what do you think that process would look like?
The process is definitely going to reveal, as it is right now. I think in the, they say the first domino to fall will probably be Arizona. So they halted the audit because they're using a stadium, I guess, that's used for graduations. So they put everything in a safe area. They got, cameras on it. They had cameras on it the whole time. And then once I think they're probably done. So maybe we'll see them pull the tables back out now and restart the audit. They're saying that the end of June, that they should have the results, everything compiled, everything, tabulated. They're already trying to get with the Maricopa County, which is where this audit is taking place in Arizona, officials. So they have been refusing. They have been stonewalling. Court, judges involved and lawyers involved, all the way up to this point. And now they're trying to, halt the audit. Why would they be wanting to halt the audit? It would just prove, like they supposedly proved a couple times already, that the vote was the best vote that has ever happened in the history of the U.S. No problems. So why would they be, putting up this much of a resistance? Well, I think it's very obvious to everyone, and that's what Trump is letting everyone see. Because I think that Trump could have, called this unfair in election right at January 20th, or even before that. But he didn't. He was going to let them appear to have won and continue their little facade. And that would wake up more people, which it absolutely has. It woke me. I didn't know the level of corruption myself. And it's revealed a lot of people on both sides of our political spectrum, all the way down to the very lowest levels, that have been extremely corrupt in this election process, to the point that they have a CCP, China influence. It's almost like China has basically done a coup on America. And there's so much involvement with China right now, and that we're starting to see as well. So this is a people's movement, and it's always for the people, by the people, and it's happening all across the world. A lot of people are starting to stand up and push back on the corruption. It has to happen that way. So if Trump had come in and said, yes, there was a legal election, and then the other side would have been, no, you're stealing America, and so you can see how that would have worked out. But now people are seeing for themselves the critical thinking that was necessary, that people had to go through to see for themselves that this was a corrupt election here in America, that pretty much all the world knows. The whole world's looking at America going, geez, we even know.
Yeah.
So now the American people are starting to wake up to it, and that's a lot of stuff that we talk about over time, the MK mind control, the stuff that these parties do to control the consciousness. People need to break from that and do the critical thinking and find out for themselves. Because if like I said, Trump had come in right in the beginning and called it and said, hey, this is an illegal election, I'm calling it, then people, from both sides probably would have, thrown the, as we say in the military, the bullshit flag, and that would have not gone well. So now I think it has a very, very good chance. And in fact, I think we could see maybe this kick off a lot sooner than when we thought it would.
Wow, it's very interesting, very, very exciting. When Trump says that something needs to be done before 2022.
Oh, yeah.
Because he always talks about the polls and I can get back the House and something needs to be done. And then we've seen the audits. He's always avoiding 2024. And this always seems to be like an optics sort of question, and very cleverly answered by Mr. Trump, very ambiguously answered. Do you think that Trump is suggesting that he will be back in 2021 when he says before 2022 that something needs to be done?
That's an excellent point. And I think you narrowed it down quite nicely. I have always thought that he would have been back actually sooner, but I see why. We look back on, at the time we were like, why do in our own lives, we go through, very hard challenges, and we're like, why am I going through this? And we felt that, I think as a collective, we all felt like, why are we going through this? We know this is a lie. Why is this happening? So in hindsight, when we look back a lot of times, on our own lives and the things that are happening around us, we see, oh, it had to happen that way. Just like we were just talking about how the wake up is happening on a more and more massive scale, and people are seeing the depths of the corruption, how deep it goes. We wouldn't have seen that, if it had, like we talked about, Trump had called it on January 20th and, started the rest then. So I think the rest have been happening in the background, in military tribunals and so forth. I've been saying this for a long time, for my own insights from people that are telling me that are on the inside, from my own remote viewing, my own, intuitions and stuff like that. I can see that this stuff has been ongoing. So I look for what is going to give me the thing that I need to, like, look, this is what I see, and everybody can see it and you go, oh, it is happening. So just like you're talking about right now, Trump is saying things have to happen before 2022. So that's a key. That's like a sign that we look for. We look for these things, and that's beautiful. You point that out and you bring these things out so that people can see, well, maybe there's something there. Maybe we should look. And that opens people's minds, and then they can start to see a bigger picture. There has to be enough people that are on board with this, because we don't want, too much conflict. Of course, a little conflict is probably going to happen no matter what happens. But at what point do they insert basically a force, I think, a shock and awe type event that basically, takes it down once and for all. And it has to be a very, surgical military type movement, I believe. I believe that 80% of the military is on board with this. And that's pretty much the way it is in the United States right now. I think 80% of Americans are for Trump being in office and continuing. And then there's still that 20% are still undecided, are completely, so far left and so far out there, there's nothing going to bring them back. And we don't need to, work so hard to bring them back, because they're never going to come back. So I think that it will happen soon. From what I'm seeing, from what I am intuiting, and for what I have heard from certain people, lots of different people that I follow that are like us, we're all revealing a little piece here and there. We kind of keep each other informed. Of course, we can't directly connect with each other, because of the distance or times or all kinds of different things. But eventually, like you and I, we come together and we hash these things out. So we're hashing it out. What is it that you're seeing? This is what I'm seeing. What do you see? So what I see is that at no other time have I seen that this reach a point where it's about to spill out and be taken down. And it's very, very close. Will it be tomorrow? Will it be today? Will it be another month? I don't know. When I was in military operations at a very, very high level, at SEAL Team 6, which is our anti-terrorist organization, and also in combat, and also in combat zones when I was in the CIA, working in the intelligence field and watching, strikes go down against a terrorist, I can tell you that we're not going to reveal. It's because if we revealed, then these guys that are very slippery would slip away, and they need to be, taken down and then revealed to people. Now, is that takedown happening on the other side so that they can't slip away? Because I've chased people. I've chased Noriega. I've chased Hussein. I've chased Osama bin Laden. These guys are slippery. So if you announce what you're going to do, then it's very, very hard, to get these people. So they're not going to announce to us what they're going to do. That would be ridiculous. It has to be a military operation where there's surprise. So the surprise is happening in the background right now. So you're not seeing it because there's a surprise, because they're taking these people down. I've heard as many as 60,000 have been taken down so far. So it's very, very high numbers that have been taken down already. Will that be revealed? Of course, it will be revealed at the right point. There are military operations that happen in every single war. You can go back throughout time where things were happening, where operations were going down, strikes were being done, major battles were being performed, and no one else in the rest of the world knew that. And that's because they have to be, secretive until the moment of the strike.
You made an excellent point about if Trump had just won, there would have been a lot of conflict and the amount of people that are asleep at that time. They wouldn't have had the opportunity to regret voting for Biden. And that whole point of Biden actually winning was to show the American people and the world what it would be like under a Biden administration and reversing everything. So I want to overview Biden's performance and ask you, what are the key points that he's done in his administration, in his time in office, or remarks that he may have made to offend other cultures? Because I hear that the Muslims are not very happy with him. Can we have a bit of what Biden's about and what he's revealed that's helped people wake up?
Yeah, it's Biden revealed himself all the way back in 1994 as being very racist when he pushed through a bill that basically majorly impacted the Black community and Black men in particular, and that was they were really going to go after incarceration, more incarcerations. And so he talked about how there were predator types. Hillary Clinton also said super predators. So this party that a lot of people believe is a party for the people is not. It's a party from the Civil War. It's a party, of slavery. It's a party of the KKK. So how this party has continued, I think it's just one of those things where, there's really good people that were like, okay, you guys have really done bad. We spanked you really hard during the Civil War, but, we're going to let you continue. And I think part of that let you continue is because they basically infiltrated. They assassinated Abraham Lincoln, almost assassinated the vice president, the secretary of state, and so forth. So they have ways that they can come in and infiltrate. And that's what they did. So they have ways to, come in because we're nice people. And we, are giving and, loving, and they're not. They're very dark. They're very evil. And they will use our goodness to basically, come around and take us down. So with Biden, he's of the same ilk. He's of the satanic realm. So there's definitely a group that are Satanist. And I've talked to a lot of people. I just had a guest on that talked very deeply about how they're not Luciferians, they are Satanists. So Luciferian would be like making it nice because there's light and there's, different ways the Luciferians came in, but the Satanists are very dark, very evil. And this is a satanic group that is taking over America, or is facadely taking over America and the rest of the world. They won't be able to continue, and they're being taken down. But Biden basically in 1994 pushed through a crime bill that basically would incarcerate large numbers of Black men. That was their target, and that was for a money-making scheme. So they had private industry come in. The prison system. They basically bought a lot of the prison systems throughout the United States. And the caveat they said was that we would keep the incarceration rates at 90%. And they made these agreements. So, judges, lawyers, prosecutors are in the business of making sure those cells are, have somebody in there because there's a money-making scheme that's going on. They also made a deal with a lot of music record companies and also movies and stuff like that glorified violence in Black men. You see the rap music. This was all part of the program to start the incarceration process so they can make money. So when you start to see the bigger picture of how these guys operate and how they come in and just really evil things they do to control the population and make money off us, like we're slaves. We're slaves to them. And that has really starting to be revealed more and more. So as we go forward, we'll see more of that. So Biden, same thing with the Middle East right now. During the Obama administration, they gave money to pallets full of money, secret pallets full of money to the Iranians, who are trying to foment their brand of control and satanic, stuff that's going on their end. And then you have Hamas, which is another satanic group that has allegiance all the way back to the Nazis. Oh my God, how about that? So the Nazis, of course, in Operation Paperclip, infiltrated America in the thousands, and all throughout government and education, healthcare, everything. So we're seeing the results of that pretty much not just in America, but obviously throughout the world. So they continued the Fourth Reich. It was the Third Reich. We supposedly destroyed the Third Reich, and but the Fourth Reich is still living amongst us right now. But we're waking up to that. Mm-hmm. They can't control people that are awake. So with Biden giving money, like once again to Iran, once again to Hamas in the tens and hundreds of millions, they start these wars up again. So we're seeing the wars against Israel. We're seeing, like I saw in the UK, people of Jewish faith are being attacked by Palestinians. Same thing in America. We're having, and no one's, saying this is bad. The Biden administration is not coming out and very forcefully saying that's not acceptable, because they want this. They want to create chaos. They want to destroy America. And because once they destroy America, they definitely have control of the world, which is something they kind of have lose control right now, although they're being decimated from the backside, as we're talking about. And they're aware of that decimation that's going on. So they're very, they're really pushing hard to make this happen. So open borders in the U.S., trying to bring in people. They're trying to push through a bill in the U.S. House, which will, I think it's HR 1, which will basically, you can't ask anybody for ID when they vote. If they come in and want to vote, they get the vote. So we're getting, hundreds of thousands of people coming across the border, and we're getting commentary from, the news, which is basically Mockingbird from the CIA / Nazi side, that you have to let these people come in, because that would be evil not to let them come in. And those people that are resisting this, you should leave America because you're not real Americans. It's like, that's the commentary we're getting. And these people, they will vote. They will vote for the real America. I was like, okay, we see where your plan is. And you just look through the drama that they put out there, because that's part of the Mockingbird thing. They go into the the hind mind, the reptilian brain, and they capture that with their movements of their hands, and they're doing all these movements, and it's just like your mind just gets mesmerized by it. And I see it, I'm like, God, these guys, come on. But people that are unaware of this process, the way they talk, the music that will come in, people that are signing, sign language. These Democrats all have someone doing a sign language. I'd like to know exactly what some of that is. So it's very interesting how they do the mind control. But yeah, Biden is definitely doing a lot of stuff that people are waking up to, which was part of what they wanted to reveal too. Buyer's remorse. You voted for Biden, and are you happy about that? Not so many people now, as everything's starting to, the prices of everything's that are exploding. Inflation's coming back. I remember he and his wife went and saw President Carter, who during his time frame was the same thing. That's when we lost Iran to the mullahs. And then we also had inflation go at an unbelievable rate. We had gas lines and everything. We're having the same thing again. So it's unbelievable. And it's funny because when he and his wife went there, and the picture they took it looked like, Rosalind and Jimmy Carter, they looked like little dwarfs. And, they do these things to do the little mind controls. Like, you see how little they are? We're going to blow it up. We're going to, whatever they did that you might not have liked, we're going to blow that up on another level. And they are. They're doing it to another level again and again. They'll continue to do that until they're removed. At some point, they will be.
So do you think the deep state have meetings and they're speaking amongst themselves saying, how are we going to destroy America? How can we just, and they probably have their, because they have to act strategic. So they probably have their fantasies where they fantasize about blowing things up and nuclear wars and stuff like that. I mean, who are they really working for? And why do they want to do these things?
It's because they're evil and they love to control, because the evil reptilian brain, and some of these, of course, are reptilians, real reptilians that are shapeshifted. They love that control. They love the chaos they cause. It gives them pleasure. So we know that there are people that the way they kill people, they do it slow, they do it like unbelievable, and because they get off on that. So it's like the same thing. These people are like that. Their brains aren't wired in love. Their brains are wired in evil, in darkness, and they're going to stay there probably for the rest of their lives until basically at some point they'll be departiculated and go back to source and then start over again. So I think that's where they're at, unfortunately. So we have to expose them, because with our loving vibration, they can't control us, and that's what they have to do. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing with the vaccination. So the vaccination will be their control mechanism. That's why they're pushing it so hard. There's no reason for anyone to get a vaccination for something you have like a 99.7% chance of surviving from. And most people don't even have symptoms of it. They have to go be tested to see if you are even infected. That's ridiculous. And the test is on a level that a grapefruit basically would come up positive. And that's been proven as well. So it's insane the way these guys are controlling, if you look at it from that perspective. But when you look at it from a guy like me that has been in combat and has seen the insanity of things, and I look at it as an observer instead of getting hooked into it and getting all discombobulated by it, we all have to be like that. So when we get to that point, they no longer can control us, and then their system collapses right in front of our eyes. So we're seeing that collapse that's happening as we're talking, as we're sharing this information with more and more people starting to awaken to it. And we're seeing, like you were talking about your show with 107, you had super high numbers, and I had the same thing. I have the same thing when I have one on my show. Have like extremely high numbers of people that come in to watch that, and then they continue to watch me, which is great, because we want that. They see me as someone that's as an outlet for this information, and same with you, and same with all the other people that are out there in the truth movement right now. So as we move forward, these horrific things that they're doing get more and more exposed, and it collapses their system, because their system survives on them being able to put us in fear. So the vaccine comes in and goes into the DNA and starts to go into that one DNA factor. I don't know the exact science behind it. I've heard it from a couple different people, but there's in our DNA is basically at one point, there's that empathy, that love, that connection to source, that connection to others. That vaccine basically comes in and shuts that down, because a lot of people have talked about how they no longer feel connection with God. And that's why, because that comes in, it shuts down that one area. So how do they come in and do this? How does this evil come in and masquerades and then takes us over? It's through the MK mind control stuff that we're talking about, where people are just so, I got to get that vaccine. I got to have it, because that will release me from all the pain that I've had to live through for the last year and a half. So they perfectly, presented it that way. You'll be able to like go without a mask. You'll be able to take flights. You'll be able to go to restaurants again. So it's like mesmerizing people. You got to get the shot. It's like reptilian, like that snake. You got to go get the shot, So it's people are running for it. And smart people, but not critical thinkers. Smart people and critical thinkers are totally different thing. So don't be confused by that, because I know a lot of you out there are saying, well, this smart person got it. Well, I should get it too. No, they're not critical thinkers, and they don't care really about you. So if they did care about you, they wouldn't go get it, because it's also some of that stuff is coming off and affecting other people in a very, very negative way. Because once it goes in, it hits the spike proteins that start to come out of the pores, come out of the breath, and so forth. So some of these people are starting to affect others. That's why we have to stay in high vibration. That's why we have to eat right. We have to do all the things we were doing, to protect ourselves from the COVID bioweapon. Now we even have a more powerful bioweapon that's coming through with the people around us now. So it's very, very tragic. So I've seen from many different sources, very, very high level virologists and doctors, that most people have about 2 years after they have the vaccine before they're gone. So will we be able to turn that around? Will people have buyer's remorse for getting the vaccine? Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. There are things that are out now. I've heard of like the Rife machine, basically, that can help the DNA turn around problems with the DNA. I've talked to several other people that are talking about programs of diet and so forth, like we've been doing already, will help turn some of that around. So I think that some people that have been injected will survive it. I believe a lot of them will. I think actually the vast majority will eventually survive it. But the clock is ticking. Clock is ticking for everyone that got that vaccine. The longer that clock ticks, the more it comes in and starts to infiltrate and take down your system. And for some people, I don't think it's going to be reversible, even with all the high-tech stuff that's out there that we have now. Now, at some point, there may be some more stuff that comes out, quantum level field stuff I've heard about. So maybe that's going to come in very soon. I've seen some of that. I've talked to people that have some of that quantum level stuff. But is it turning it around? I've heard some of it is, but is it going to turn it around for everybody? So that's what we're going to see going forward. But a lot of people are starting to die. I think the numbers are pretty dramatic. Of course, they're very good at suppressing and putting out information. So if they want to suppress information, which they're doing on how many people are dying, how many people are being affected by this vaccine, they're doing it. So the numbers that we're seeing, I think, are probably we could probably tack on about 5 to 10 times. What we're seeing is probably the real numbers. And when we're seeing numbers that are in the high thousands here in the U.S. and in other parts of Europe and the world, I know in Europe and in the U.K. they seem to be releasing some fairly good numbers. Whatever system you have for people that are being affected by the vaccine is a little bit better than the Bayer system that is here in the U.S. A lot of people don't even know if your loved one is suffering or dying from a vaccine, how to report it. So if they don't know how to report it, it'll get reported. So that's a problem right there. But in the UK, I see staggering numbers of people that are being affected by the vaccine. And of course, your population is a fraction of what we have in the US. So when I look at the numbers in the UK, I'm like, ooh, that's probably very comparable to what. So we just magnify those numbers, and it's like, whoa, that's staggering when you start to see that. So even in the UK, I'm sure they're being suppressed as well.
Right. So what do you think needs to happen in order for the vaccinated people to really regret getting vaccinated?
When they start to see the people around them, succumbing. When your loved ones, because a lot of people were talking about it. When your loved ones are dying soon after they get the vaccination, and they're revealing it like everywhere. There's reveals are like, so and so, high level figure, former boxing champions and baseball greats here in America get the vaccine and then die soon after. And it's like, are you guys paying attention to this? Come on. But still people are rushing out to get it. It's amazing to me. So even though that's being released and people are seeing people in their families die of it, or having, neurological disorders where, for the rest of their lives, where they're going to have like tics and, all kind of crazy stuff. I'm like, how can you still want to go get that? But they still do. So that shows you just how deeply ingrained, their MK mind control has happened on people. If they can see, pretty much all around them, people are being dramatically and negatively affected by the vaccine, but they still are rushing out to get it. It's like, wow. So I think that as more and more people are starting to get effects from it, they're going to start to have, regrets. It's like, oh, now I have a neurological disorder, or, I just lost my, I was carrying an infant inside me, and I had another month to deliver. Everything was healthy, and I just lost my baby, and then to find out that they're no longer able to conceive. And then men find out they're no longer able to impregnate. That's happening now. So as more and more of this is starting to be revealed, because they're not going to reveal it in the major press, but people are talking. So as more and more of that starts to spread, through social media, of course, they're probably suppressing that in a massive way. But as like we're talking right here, there will be, hopefully tens and maybe more thousands of people that watch this that are like, I'm definitely not going to get that vaccine. I'm going to tell everybody that I know not to get it, and this is why. So that makes an impact. So it filters through. It starts to ripple out. So the more of that ripple effect that happens, it starts to gather momentum. And at some point, like Malcolm Gladwell talks about, you reach that tipping point, and then it turns, and then you have a complete switch. So that's what we're waiting for here in America to roll back the election steal. That's what we're working towards for the vaccination problem, where I think we're actually at that point where people are like, I ain't getting it, So I think there's a lot of people who are like, I've been seeing a lot of stuff and hearing a lot of stuff. They're coming out with, like, I think in Maryland, it's like, get the chance to win $400,000 if you get vaccinated. So they're going all out to get that the last few people. And then now in Oregon, they just came out with, you have to have your vaccination papers before you can come in without your mask. And so now they're really starting to go. There'll be states that are going to be, for it and against it. In Texas, Governor Abbott here said that if there is, because I've had no mask mandate for a while now, if you're still enforcing it as a business, then you're going to be fined $1,000 a day. So, and if you're like in Austin, Texas, which is very liberal, if you're a governance that is enforcing it, then you'll also be fined. So, I mean, do they care? No, because taxpayers are paying for that. So they're like, well, they'll try and make a point where, oh, we're standing up against Governor Abbott and we're not going to do that. Well, the people in your county, whatever, are the ones who are going to pay for that. So if they're okay with that, okay, you guys just lose more and more money, and more people are going to die, because the mask mandate is, as we're going to see, was probably the cause of more death than any of the so-called people that were dying from COVID, which we're finding out those numbers were falsified massively as well. The CDC of all places here in the US is saying that, I think it was 94% of the deaths that were recorded for COVID were not COVID. They were from other means, like from cancers, from heart attacks, from lung problems, all kinds of script. 92 to 94%. So that's a whole big fat lie. All the people that died, supposedly, where they had those numbers on the news, like ticking all day long, putting that fear in people, MK mind altering people, so that whenever that vaccine comes out, I'm going to go get it because it's going to save my life. And it was never that. It was never, it was not supposed to be for that. It was to get in you so that they could shut you down and start to control you that way, and eventually, kill you off. So that's that's what the real thing is happening, unfortunately.
So when do you think, how are people going to learn about this once it does happen? And I'm speaking of the, the masses of the people, because that we know what the mainstream media is going to do. They're going to do everything they can to manipulate the numbers, censorship, etc., etc. And the masses rely on mainstream media. They sit in front of their televisions, and they rely on the mainstream media for their daily updates. So how is the truth going to get to them, and how will they wake up?
Mm-hmm. The mainstream media will be taken down all over the world, and then it will be replaced by probably military types at first, and then eventually, people that are, actually good people that have been removed for over time. They'll be brought back. We'll see some of the faces that were like, whatever happened to them? Well, they were taken out because they wouldn't put out the lies. And we'll see these people come back. We'll see these news organizations, these, the BBC, here, CNN and Fox News, and all the different ones that have been compromised will be taken down. So imagine that. Imagine a day without negative mind control information going out. It would be like you would break something and people would go, probably the first day. And then the second day more, and then the third day more. And then eventually, when the truth starts to come out, and then they start to talk about how there's been mass arrest, how that a lot of people that we thought were, posing as like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, they were taken out a long time ago. They just had actors in there. And these actors basically were either working for us or working for the deep state, and they have been removed as well. So we'll see a lot of that revealed. So it's going to be staggering for people. When I think about the information that I put out, the information we're talking about right here, it's staggering for most people. They just would shut right off. And there has to be a slow process, think of someone that's, baby stepping with their consciousness, waking up, starting to critical think, and they're starting to see this stuff. It's like baby steps. And if you put too much out there, they're just going to sit right down. They're going to get scared, and they don't want to walk anymore. So just sit down. I've had children. I know how this process works on the baby steps. So you have to get them comfortable with this information. And you have to so it's not going to be a big reveal right away. Now, a lot of us that are awake, we're wide awake. It's like, let's go, let's get it out there. But it can't come like that. It can't. I've seen all over the world. I've seen this mind control, this Mockingbird media work all over the world. And I've actually been protecting people that were implementing it. So that's how I know about it. And I was like, whoa, why can't these people see this? It's so obvious. And I'll see it on the news later. And I'm like, there it is. And I'm like, I'm laughing because it's so obvious to me. But at their consciousness level, they're like, oh, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
If they tried that in the United States or the UK or anywhere in Europe, everybody would be laughing. So they're more sophisticated with us. They're very sophisticated with us. I started to see it. I was like, wow, it's the mind control is very deep. And like we're seeing with the vac, the vac is very obvious to be a very negative thing. And it's not a vaccine. It's an experimental drug. So if you conform to the satanic rule, because they've been trying to get inside of us for a long time. They've been, hitting us with fluoride. They've been hitting us with aluminum from, dropping it from planes. They put it in our water. They put it, in our foods, the glyphosates in our food. So lots of Monsanto stuff, horror, Frankenstein food. So they've been attacking us for a very long time, but we've stayed awake, and at least enough of us have stayed awake enough that they didn't quite get control of us. So this vaccination is basically you're allowing them to get control of you. It's like the Dracula. You see the horror movies where Dracula's outside. Let me in. you have to let him in. And then once you let him in, then he's going to suck your blood and kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the vaccine is. It's like, let me in. And because then they're going to take down your connection to source, and it's going to shut down. And so that little prick, that little tiny prick through your skin, because we're sovereign beings as we are right now. They've tried everything they could to get in through, all the programs I just talked about. And they haven't been successful. It's been a very, very long process, decades and decades, and still they haven't gotten in. So this is their last shot, this vaccination, but still half the population resists. So,
Right.
and I believe, fortunately for, people that are waking up and having buyer's remorse for the vaccination after they're getting it, that's going to help other people, definitely decide not to do it, because you're going to see all these people that are like, a magnet sticks to my skin after where I got the injection. Everybody's like, what? It's like when you go on a date now, you're like, need to bring the magnets, if you're like in the dating scene. So it's like, this stick to you? Okay, you're good. So, I didn't get the vaccination. Sure, you didn't get the vaccine. Let me make sure. So there's going to be a lot of people that have remorse, and I think they're starting to, that remorse is starting to generate more and more, even though people like, ourselves have been trying everything that we can to, inform people so they can make that informed and good critical thinking not to get it. And if they do get it, then, it is what it is. And we'll see what happens, consequences of their move. Of course, they're trying to, really press those of us that aren't vaccinated to join them. And that's going to backfire on them as well. It is backfiring on them. The truth is coming out, and as more and more truths come out, and more people wake up, like we talked about, it's virtually impossible for them to maintain their control over us, and they have to have that in their system. They don't have complete control, then they can't dominate in the level that they want to.
I can't wait to see the faces of, the asleep to wake up, because I've got a second cousin, and he posts on Facebook and he says, oh, these conspiracy theories, the flat earth and the aliens and the microchips and all of this, and I just think everything you think is a conspiracy theory is actually true, probably, most likely anyway. But
right.
They don't realize that the reality that they're living is so different to ours because of what we know and what they don't know, and we were there once, and it's incredible.
Absolutely. And the conspiracy theories are conspiracies until they're completely proven and come out in the press, so a lot of the things that, that we thought were conspiracies in the past are now, completely accepted on a lot of different realms. So as we reveal this information, because it's not out in the press, because a lot of people are like that, is, well, I didn't see it in the press, and so I don't believe it. It's like, okay, so just stay open-minded to it. No, I don't need to stay open-minded to it, because it doesn't exist. Okay, fine. So and then, like you're saying, once they start to get their little baby steps into the reality world, it's going to be a little overwhelming for them. So I have compassion for them. No sympathy whatsoever for the way they're acting right now, because they're basically stuck in reptilian brain, and there's no love there. So they're spewing hate and fear to other people, and capturing some of the more on the fence type consciousnesses, and that's regrettable, I think.
Yeah,
I think that everyone, I appreciate, lots of different opinions out there. I watch a lot of different people. I don't completely agree with, and who agrees with everyone. I don't agree with myself sometimes. So, I don't always agree with everything everyone puts out there. So I appreciate, other opinions. Some of the things that I have a very strong opinion about, I've changed, like cryptocurrency, for instance. I thought it was just going to zero. I thought it was like a scam. But now I see that as, the future. So there's a lot of different things. So, and will all cryptocurrency go all the way? No. Some of them are going to be discovered for what they are, just basically, manipulations by the deep state. But as far as like future events, when you look at a bigger picture, as far as like that's concerned, and I know I don't a lot of people don't share my opinion on crypto, but for me, I believe, after looking at it, on a more critical level, that it has incredible potential going forward. So we'll see.
Well,
I don't think I'm going to be proven wrong, but
yeah.
if I am, I'll admit it. It's great. That's what's beautiful about having other opinions out there.
So what's your views on the quantum financial system and the revaluations of currencies like the dong and the dinars?
So I think a lot of those currencies, unfortunately, are going to collapse, going forward. So some people, and I hedge myself because when I was in Iraq, I bought a lot of dinar. So I have dinar. If it does turn around, which I thought it was going to, but it has never, because it's obviously a captured currency and it's controlled. So as we move forward, will it be unhinged, I guess, or decoupled from whatever's controlling it? I hope so, because I think the Iraqi people deserve to have a great currency, just like the Bahrainians. So when I was in Bahrain, their currency collapsed during the Iran conflict that was Iran-Iraq war. And then when we went into Iraq, or when Iraq went into Bahrain, and then we liberated Bahrain, their currency went from like Iraq's is, almost, worthless, to the point where it was like, even, 2 or 3 times more than the dollar. So if you'd bought them during that time frame, you would be, quite wealthy. So it's the same thing with the dinar. The dinar, I have like, millions of dinar. If it turns around and becomes like 1-to-1, I'm an instant millionaire with dinar. Will it happen? I don't really think it will, actually. After holding them for as long as I have, it's a very, very not tangible aspect anymore to me. I think that might completely collapse, and then they'll go with another standard. Who knows? So that's why I hedge my bets, on a lot of different things. I think that the quantum system basically allows, like this cryptocurrency type of currency to flourish.
Yeah.
I think the cryptocurrency is a quantum level mode of currency that can't be manipulated, can't be controlled at this point. Now, I think if the deep state continues to exert itself going forward, at some point they'll probably control it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're collapsing, and they will collapse. So it will be part of the future financial system when we go to Nasara throughout the world. I think that's and will it happen the exact way that is stipulated, like everyone has all their debts relieved? No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be like a quantum system. It's going to choose who are good and who are not so good, who's been naughty, who's been nice. So it's definitely going to reward those that have done really well and have done good things. And it's actually working right now, because a lot of people are having their debts relieved all over the world. I even have people in my family that have had debts relieved magically. So it is something that's coming. Will it come for all? No. I think those that are part of the deep state and very manipulative, very, very evil in their own rights, they're not going to get debt relief. It's not going to happen. No.
So what does it mean to you when Donald J. Trump speaks of all of the countries being in level playing field in order to compete fairly?
Yeah, I think that's coming, and it has to happen that way. So that's where, the quantum level of currency, the quantum level of exchange, and so forth. I think that there'll probably be a universal income, a base level for everyone. And if you want to, apply yourself more, then you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to earn more, just like, it is now in a really good capitalist system. In a communist system, which they're trying to enforce all over the world, that won't exist. So that's not the level playing field that we want. So the level playing field is one where, your true works towards and helping others, your service to others. That's what gets rewarded going forward. Now, if you want to take a break and go to college, or if you want to go to a desert island, tropical desert island somewhere, and read books for a couple of years, and then come back and talk about all the information, beautiful information you got, and do courses or something like that, you're going to get rewarded. So you'll be able to take a break. Like I said, there'll be a level playing field for income. Now, I know that gets a lot of people like that's almost communist system. I don't see it that way. I think it is a level playing field that he's talking about. There is a universal income, very basic. If you want to participate and do more, then you'll be able to do that. If you just want to kick back and go to school or whatever, that's fine too. So there's different levels of, just like there is now in a really good capitalist system. Now, will it be a capitalist system? Not the way we see capitalism right now, but something along those lines. So everything's going to get reconfigured. Everything changes. So what we are trying to see what that might be is very unlikely what it will be, because we just don't have, because I think things are going to really go to an unbelievable level that we have never experienced before. So what is that experience? All I can say is like, it's going to be magical. It's going to be golden age. It's going to be like, these are the words that we can give it. But what exactly is that? Now, a lot of people that are really stuck in the analytical world don't accept that because they can't see it. They don't have the intuitive, right brain creative aspect to see bigger things. So they have to like see it and feel it. Otherwise it doesn't exist. So can we see it and feel it now? No, of course not. It doesn't exist yet, but it's something that's coming, and it's something that's going to be quite phenomenal. That's the only way it can go.
Do you think that we will see big changes like that in the next year or two?
Yeah, we're already seeing those big changes. Who would have thought that the whole world could have been shut down, a year and a half ago? No one. So that's a big change. That's a big eye opener. That's the thing that everybody needed to see to start to wake up to, manipulations that are going on. And we're going to say no more of that going forward once we get that, shot. So we have to overcome these controls first. We have to recognize them. Once you recognize a problem, then you start working towards what's a solution to this problem. And then once we find that solution, we start applying that solution like we're doing right now. The auditing that's happening in the U.S., we're waking people up to the problems with that experimental drug, that little prick into the arm that's really going to cause problems going forward. We wake people up to that. We wake up people to the fact that a lot of these people that pushed us into lockdowns, they cause a lot more harm than would have happened if we just continue to move forward. Just like we're seeing in Florida and also in Texas. Remember, the deep state press attacked them, called them Neanderthals because they were implementing that. But their death rates have actually plummeted in Texas to 0 for COVID, whereas they're still rising in lockdown Michigan. And so that's what we're seeing in a lot of places. Japan is implementing a national emergency because they're having the Olympics come there and they're having their cases skyrocket. So the more control that you try and enforce on this vaccine makes it worse, as we see. And the more liberal we are, where people can get out, because I said this right, we're going to get out in the fresh air, get out in the sun, because the UV light basically kills this thing on contact. So, why do they want to lock us in? Because that's where it really started to spread. So more people died inside their home from being affected inside their homes than from going outside. We're finding that out now. So all this information, as it starts to come out, reveals the massive lie, the massive control that they fomented on us illegally in a lot of places. So they didn't have the right to do this. So now a lot of states here in the U.S. are basically taking away the emergency procedures that governors had. They're limiting them to a 90-day period or a 1-month period. And then the rest of, the Congress and the Senate within each state needs to decide, which once a governor put in these emergency controls, they no longer had the ability to even meet to discuss this. So and they kept them going, until they kept their states locked down. So we're going to see a lot of this. we're going to put in laws and, methods to stop them from ever doing that again. The same thing's happening with the voting. So like Trump said, we have to get this thing resolved before 2022, because most people here in the U.S. will not vote again until it is. I'm not voting again because it's obviously rigged. So it's that's another reason why it has to get resolved this year.
So things are changing now. Moving forward into the new free world, golden age, Aquarius system that we talk about, do you think that things will? Do you think that we will move into that at the same speed and pace as things are moving now, or do you think that maybe things may increase in respect to the speed and pace that we're going?
I think they continue at the speed and pace that we're going for a little bit longer, because we're flipping from a controlled consciousness to an enlightened consciousness. So it has to make that transition, and that if you were to speed it up, that process would leave a lot of people behind, and a lot of people that are already making the transition wouldn't be able to do it. They're taking their baby steps, and you're like, and then you start running, and they're still trying to walk. So I think that we're going to continue to be, and it's amazing that it's happened, because we have no civil war in the U.S. Everyone was talking that was coming. I think that the fact that people have stayed calm is an indicator that basically we have raised our consciousness. So we're just being very, very loving, very, very taking charge, which a loving person does. I take charge of a child. I help a child mature and grow, like I did my children. Very loving, very giving, until they reach a point where they can go on their own. But yeah, it has to be a gradual thing. So the awakening process, like we talked about, has to happen on the dark realms. So as the dark realms begin to wake up to that control, they're like we talked about buyer's remorse. Oh, Joe Biden is a very evil person. I can't believe that I voted for him. What else is there? So you start to see people shift and awaken in that way. They're awakened to the injection problems, the jab problems, and then that process of awakening, that process of going towards higher consciousness starts to build. And I think that some of us that have been kind of like waiting for people to catch up, we're going to start to move out, and we're going to be like the front runners, for future consciousness. So as more people wake up, as I help people wake up, I see them start to talk. I'm like, okay, now I can start to, move forward a little bit more on my things that I'm seeing, in the future. And I think, a lot of us that do this will pick up the pace, for those that are the front runners, and eventually, a lot of us will probably be passed as well. And I encourage that. I hope that happens, because, it's kind of lonely out here in the front sometimes. So I like to see, some other people, get up here, and more people take charge in other areas and really start to sprint out and move out. So it's going to be a fun process going forward, but it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. Just like I said, that when the election, in my remote viewings of the election, I said there were going to be, well before the January 20th happened, I said there were going to be two months of darkness. And I didn't know what that was, but now we're starting to see there was consciousness was like in a daze. It was in a darkness. It was like, what just happened? It's like trauma based, So that dark period that we went through in the couple months after the election, and now, because they locked us down really hard as well. So now we're starting to, as I said, April we'd start to see the light. We start to see more light. So now we're starting to see the more the manipulations, controls that they had, more people are waking up to that, and more people are starting to push and starting to get more proactive and starting to gather with groups and pushing back on a lot of this stuff and starting to reveal more people are revealing now than ever before. They're getting on their channels and revealing. They're getting shut down and they're going to other channels and revealing. So it's a process that's happening, and it's like I think it's beautiful. It's frustrating when you look all the way back down the line at the people that are still captured in their consciousness. But it's also beautiful when we see all of the people that have awakened. And I people talk to me all the time about, how they've been watching me for over a year and how I helped awaken them to all of this stuff. A lot of people.
Yeah.
So we'll see that process, gather momentum, that tipping point happen, and then we'll go to a different level again, and then again, and again, and again, just like we have throughout time. It's a beautiful process. It's good.
My family, they just watch the BBC and mainstream media, and they believe all the mainstream narratives, the controlled narratives, anything that comes out of the Rockefeller, universities, or, these so-called philanthropists, and they think I've lost the plot, and they think I'm crazy. What do your family think of you?
There was an awakening process, fortunately, because fortunately, a lot of my family look up to me. So they were like, very, I would say, skeptical in the beginning, but they know how I process information, how I'm a front leader in a lot of this stuff. So fortunately, they started to look at it, and most of them are awakened as well now. So that's the beauty of, having, done a lot of stuff that people like look up to, having been a Navy SEAL and being in the CIA and stuff like that. People are like, oh, you have done amazing things in your life. So there's something about you that maybe I should, when you say something, maybe I should pay attention. So I fortunately, have that, I've written books, I do, all the courses, and I meet with people all the time. I do different shows. So people are like, there's probably something to this. So they start to look, they start to like get a little piece here, get a little piece there. And I would say most of them is still, not all of them are completely awake, but most of them are awake now. And I don't really have anyone that I can look at throughout all of my family that I think is asleep. They're either awake at some point in the process. Some are very awake now, and then and others are awakening. So it's in my side, it's been really good. I've been fortunate.
That's fantastic. No, it's great to hear that. I'm just waiting for mine to wake up. They're very, very in a deep sleep. Not my immediate family. My mom and dad and my brother, they're fully awake, and we're very close. But the extended family, they just, yeah. I mean, the viewers understand. I mean, they're probably going through the same thing as I am.
Oh yeah. And in fact, there have been, but the people that I've been talking to over the last year, they're starting. It's the same process. They're starting to see family members wake up, and some family members that were extremely shut down, and they're like, wow, you were right. On some level, a lot of us want to hear that, but I don't really care about that. I'm like, oh, good. So let's wake up some more people. And, I'm like, let's get busy now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to dwell on, so tell me what else, and no, I don't care. It's, I'm just out there as a front to this, I think that I was given permission to continue on because this is what I wanted to do. There was a time where, I saw my death, and then I was given the option of going back because I wanted to help humanity. So, I'm kind of like I won't say borrowed time, but I would say a bonus time. So this period of my life over the last, almost 2 decades now has been a bonus time. So, and as I believe, as long as I continue to serve, in the capacity that I'm doing and growing in that capacity as well, that, I'll continue. And, as long as, I'm given this reprieve, I'm happy. At some point, maybe I go, maybe I see myself going way past 100. So I think that, all the controls that we've had on our lives to keep us, dying at an early age are going to come off as well. So not only do we, raise in consciousness and have more free time to, like we were always told we were going to have, to go in and explore the things that we wanted to. I think that's really coming. I'm finding that now. I find that probably healthier than any time in my life now. I find that I'm attracting the type of people that I've always wanted to be around now. So it's I think everyone's going to have that going forward. Everyone. So
Yeah.
it's going to be magnificent.
Well, I can't wait. I'm very excited because the future's looking bright. This is just the climax of the corruption that we've had for hundreds of years, and
Yes.
it's coming out of the woodwork. And it's not that things are getting worse. Again, it's the climax of corruption for many decades.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael Jaco, it's been fantastic speaking with you. Thank you so much for giving me your time, and you're doing great work, and you've got great knowledge. And I really feel stimulated when talking to you. You're really fantastic. It's great stuff. Yeah. So,
That's great.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yeah, I love to tell people when we finish to stay in that love vibration, because that consciously, that love vibration is the thing that allows you to see all the great things that are coming, like we're talking about here, and also not get distracted by all the negativity that's back there. So just stay in the love vibration. When you feel something come up that get you down, think love for everyone that you see, think love for everyone that's done you wrong. And when you start to think like that, your whole world will incredibly change. Everyone that I've taught this to has had major changes. So it's very, very effective.
Absolutely. Consciousness is the real DNA, the real currency of the universe, and we control our reality from our thoughts. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Well, go on. Sorry.
Oh, that's good. No, I totally agree. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Michael. I look forward to speaking to you again, and have a lovely day, and God bless.
All right. You too. Thanks, Nicholas.
Thank you.